Hi everybody, hope you're doing well. I usually don't like being so dramatic with my makeup on these kind of videos, but I had filmed a video prior to this and I just kind of feel like this is my most authentic reaction. So I wanted to, for this Wellness Wednesday, to come on and talk about more about how I healed and how I'm healing my mind. And this is by far much harder than me losing 150 pounds. Your mind is something that I think as women, we're trained to think certain things about ourselves. And, you know, it is very difficult to overcome your own self-doubt, let alone when you're in an abusive relationship and they're piling it on top. I, though, wanted to come on because I've been going through therapy on a weekly basis now for, definitely has to be over 6 months. I'm not really sure. If I can figure it out, I'll like put a little thing here saying about how long. But over 6 months, probably less than a year though. And today during my virtual therapy, my therapist said, because you've been doing so well, I really think it's probably time for you to start doing every other week, because the whole point of therapy, if it's working, is that you won't need it anymore. You know, you'll be able to figure out what you need best for yourself. And I think through me doing my videos and through me truly expressing how everything challenged me and, you know, kind of healing through all these videos again, is very full circle, and it's come around, and I'm just kind of, I humble myself in a weird way, if that's possible. I am just proud of myself for everything that I've been able to accomplish and do. It will be just about 2 years in July of me being out of that relationship, and it is amazing. In 2 years, the changes I've made, mentally and physically. So mentally, the first things that kind of come to mind when I think about what I was going through before I started therapy, I really was interested in looking up and researching abuse and rape victims and anything to do with kind of an abusive relationship. So I was listening to a ton of TED Talks. I was listening to different television shows about it. I watched the R. Kelly docu-series, anything that kind of could relate to what had happened, because all of these things had different therapists or psychiatrists, whatnot, kind of explaining behind how everything happened. Just because for me, trying to heal and trying to flesh this all out, I couldn't put all the blame on myself. And I don't think all the blame should go on myself. But I also think it's naive to think that how I portrayed myself and how I thought about myself didn't factor into what happened. I kind of said this in my weight loss video, but from little on, I've always had self-esteem issues, mainly due to always being overweight. But those insecurities of weight issues and body issues still linger to this day, regardless of my weight. And that's just something very deeply rooted in who I am. But if at a younger age I didn't have those, and I thought of myself and my body as something that should be respected and be taken care of, and I should be kind to myself, perhaps, when I first heard those things from my abuser, that I was fat and ugly and not worth it, perhaps I may have stood up for myself and not gone through such a difficult time. When you hear and you are reminded of things you've already thought, why would you question? You know, why would you question it happening? So, Anyway, back to kind of what I first was doing, TED Talks, listening, watching shows, all that sort of stuff to try to make it so that it wasn't all my fault or my problem. And I truly don't think it all was, but I do think how I thought about myself played into it. Definitely factored into me being and ending up in an abusive relationship. So that is something that I continue to this day. Be thankful of myself and my body, and every day that I am able to get up and do something that I enjoy or that I love or that I get to work out, any of those little things that I definitely have taken for granted and I try not to anymore. But the same friend that really encouraged me to kind of help get my body into shape and focus on that said, it is probably time for you to start therapy. And I had, through work, which was fantastic, they kind of had this outlet where you could go speak to somebody and they could help you kind of guide you either to a therapist or what maybe your next step should be. And I went to them quite fresh off of everything. And if I can figure out a timeline, I can put that down below too. But I first went and talked to somebody at kind of work, a counselor, and I feel kind of bad for the guy, but I just completely exploded in tears and let everything out. I was just a blubber of a human. And he probably was just, very kindly taking it all in as best as he could. And just gave me kind of some books that I could read, but he tried to give me a list of some therapists, but it took me a while to kind of research and latch on, and I never ended up kind of going through because I probably went and saw this counselor 6 months before I started therapy. So it wasn't until I got another push from my friend to actually go see a therapist. So I absolutely adore my therapist. I think she's fantastic. I think she has a great way of explaining things to me and just making it so that, I better understand what happened. And that's kind of all you want as a human, is not the unknown. You want to know and kind of figure out why I'm feeling this way or why, things are happening or how I can work through it at least. And so I remember also in my first therapy session with her, I broke down and I just cried and cried and cried. And this was clearly just me needing an outlet, me needing somebody to tell this to, somebody to talk to, because everything was so raw, everything was so real. And she said, I'm really sorry. This was after 15 minutes of me just going on and on, blah, 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 of all these horrible things that happened. She said, I'm really sorry, but there's just some things that I need to figure out, could you just tell me your age and what's your ethnicity and just these basic questions. And she said, I know after everything you've just explained to me, these are going to seem really not cool, but, I have learned through my time in therapy that everybody is definitely their own worst critic, that everybody is really hard on themselves, but that they shouldn't be. And just to be kind to yourself and to others. And that everybody will have their own way of being able to heal. I strongly believe that just starting with therapy and telling somebody will help you open up so that you can tell more people. And for me, releasing these videos online has been the most rewarding thing. I feel freer than I've ever felt. And I feel finally in my own, back. I finally feel like I am Ashley and I am better than I've ever been. And I truly believe that. I really, really do. And I think it just kind of takes your own understanding of what you need to do at what time and in what moment. And, things are going to process and you're going to get, your ups and downs of anger and frustration. And there is a whole cycle of you know, how your emotions flow through, you know. First I'm really mad and angry at him, and then I'm sad and I'm frustrated. And if I ever will come to a point of forgiveness, I don't know if I'm even there yet. You know, I don't know. But I am so past the point of being stuck and bogged down by what happened. I am on a path of being and doing better. And it's just exciting. You know, I feel like I'm this mountain and I'm just climbing up her. And I got so far to go, but it is up. It is up from here. Today, my therapist told me how, you know, anxiety usually comes from people fearing and worrying about the future too much. And depression comes from worrying and fearing about the past. And I don't really have too much anxiety, a little bit, but I'm much more stuck in kind of the past, and I had a hard time. I really wanted to work on figuring out a timeline because I still have a very hard time remembering everything that's happened. Everything I think is blocked, or a lot of things are blocked for a reason. But just kind of figuring it out a little bit more and truly processing it. Truly believing and understanding that this happened to me. Because you get to a point where it feels like, who is that person? Who was I? And I feel like I am now in a point where when I cry, I'm crying for that old Ashley. You know, I'm crying for that old person who I used to be, who I'm not anymore. But I still feel bad for her. You know, it still is sad what happened to her. But I am not defined by her. And I am better because I was her. I will leave you with something here. And I recommend therapy for anybody, for anything you're going through. I think therapy is so helpful. And just talking out your issues or problems or feelings with somebody, even if it's not a therapist, but with a friend, I hope that you can have somebody to just talk to and be open with, because when you break down barriers, you just feel lighter. You know, why hide from who you are? But I want to leave you with this, which is a really beautiful saying I got today at therapy. That the hard times make you better. And she told me that smooth seas do not make the best sailors. You know, you need the difficult times and the rough seas to make an experienced sailor. Something like that. It's like smooth seas do not make an experienced sailor. And it is through the rockiness and the trials and tribulations where you truly find how strong you are, how independent you can be, and just how you can truly be your best self. But I just wanted to share a little bit of this. Hopefully it has helped some people. I want you to know, sorry for the sirens in the background, which I'm pretty sure you'll be able to hear. Maybe I'll pause for a moment while those go by. I just want you to know that there should be no stigma in you ever wanting to see a therapist. And don't ever fear, you know, that you can't be helped. Everybody can be helped. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Please know, you are never alone. You are important. You matter. Just make sure you smile. All right. Bye, guys.